up on live now. It's the Sports Oven, and we'll be talking about sports, lovely sports. Hit like, share, subscribe, and enable notifications so that you can get freshly baked sports as they drop. The main sports I'll be covering is football, more specifically the English Premier League. Yes, don't hold the applause. The most entertaining league in the world deserves all its praise. Not to worry though, of course I will cover the UEFA Champions League, UCL, all the other major football leagues, some basketball, some tennis, and of course some American football. So, without further ado, let's get into it. A few weeks have passed, and I think we can look at the big six transfers, what we thought of them when they just signed, and how they performed in the first 7 weeks of the new season. That is, have our expectations been met, or have they bugged out so far? We'll just look at them based on their current positions in the table, with the surprise so far, Burnley in 6th place, one ahead of Liverpool. Just joking, we'll be looking at Liverpool. The table, as you can see on the screen, is pretty much what you'd expect at the start of the season after 7 games. So the top 6 should have consisted of say Man City, Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I'm not calling an specific order, but as you can see on screen, Burnley are in 6th place, which is pretty much a surprise. But the table as it stands now is Man City in 1st, Man United in 2nd. Both of those are on 19 points, with City having 1 goal better than Man United. Tottenham in 3rd. After a pretty rough start, they're back on track. Chelsea as well had a pretty rough start, but back on track on 13 in 4th, and Arsenal in 5th. Burnley, as I said, in 6th, but Liverpool in 7th. So that's how the table is after 7 games. And with that being said, let's get into it. As I said, we'll be looking at these teams based on their positions in the table. So first, we start with Man City. With upwards of £200 million spent, in came Kyle Walker from Spurs, Benjamin Mendy from Monaco, and Real Madrid's Danilo, as well as Benfica's keeper Ederson to bolster a shaky defense. Another Monaco product in Bernardo Silva, their playmaker last year. Now, all astute signings in my eyes, and it rectified their problems of aging fullbacks, which I had stated were a problem a good few seasons ago. I expected those fullbacks to all have a tier in Pep's system, as all were standouts in their respective teams last season, barring Danilo, but was an able backup to Carvajal at Real Madrid. Ederson is the only one I'm not fully convinced on, as he still looks a bit shaky coming from a different league, but Bernardo Silva I fully expect to fit in seamlessly and ball. How have they fared? So Kyle Walker, barring that blip with the red card, has been consistently good both in attack and defense. Mendy has been the same, offering pace and solid defense on the other flank. The only blot though is that he will be out injured for between 6 to 9 months. I think that's a big blow for them since he offers so much going forward. But in stepped Fabian Delph from out of the Arctic Circle. Yes, the Arctic Circle. And he put in a very good performance though, I got to say. I mean, who knew he was a left back? The other signing, as I said, Ederson has been okay, shaking some matches but solid in most. Danilo has stepped in when needed and done well, while Bernardo Silva, as I had expected, balled whenever he came into the team, which is just epitomized by Man City's unbeaten start in all competitions this season. So with Man City out the way, let's go to Manchester United. Our big side, yeah, that's my team. So the Red Devils completed their business early this season. I was really pleased with that. They splashed out £146 million in the process, but it got us what we needed, in all honesty. So we brought in Romelu Lukaku from Everton, Nemanja Matic from Chelsea, which not only is a very astute signing, as we needed that kind of deep line playmaker slash holding midfielder, but it also weakened Chelsea. I don't see why they let him go, but hey, I'm happy for him. And the third signing was Victor Lindelof from Benfica. So it added strength in depth to all United's problem areas. So I think those three would have been great, but we also re-signed Zlatan, so that was pretty awesome. So with that being said, let's continue. So how have they fared? So let's start with the big Belgian, Blowout Star. This man has started like a house on fire. 10 goals in 9 appearances, only failing to score in 1 game so far, and he also has an assist to boot. Long may it continue. I can't say enough of Romelu so far. He's been playing pretty well. Next is Nemanja Matic, who was deemed surplus to requirements, or so some Chelsea fans would like us to think, and they want to say Bakayoko was an upgrade. They can say that all they want, but Matic has probably been the best holding mid in the Prem so far. A couple man of the match performances prove that. The third signing, Victor Lindelof, he hasn't played in the Prem as yet, but is slowly adapting to playing for Man United in the UCL and Cup games, so I see much more to come. We can conclude that the signings that are playing have been successful, as joint top of the Prem and top of their group in the UCL says it all. When we say a big side, oh yeah, we're also unbeaten like Man City. So with us completing Man United, let's go to last year's runner-up, Tottenham. So their window was way better than it seemed it would have been late into the window, but they pulled off some pretty decent signings. Davinson Sanchez from Ajax. They also bought Juan Foyt. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but he is one for the future, young player from Estudiantes. Serge Aurier from Paris Saint-Germain to me is a coup. I heard Man U were in for him, and I thought he would have been a pretty good buy for Valencia to replace him, since Valencia is getting pretty much up in age, but Spurs got him, so that's a pretty good sign for them. And last but not least, they got Fernando Llorente, who I think is a pretty good backup for Hurricane. I mean, yeah, Category 5 Hurricane. I mean, the guy is on fire, but he does need some rest. So those were Tottenham's ins from the transfer window. I think there are some pretty good players that they have bought. How they fared. So their signings so far have been pretty solid. As I said, Foyt is one for the future, but the others who are playing have been pretty good. So Spurs still have their home issues since they're playing at Wembley, but for the most part their new signings have settled very well. I mean, Sanchez is starting in the back three, fresh from Ajax, and he doesn't look horrible or out of place along with the usual regulars Vertonghen and Alderweireld. While Aurier has pretty much been a like-for-like swap for Kyle Walker, and he's played pretty well. I can't say he isn't. And then you have Llorente, who has deputized well in a few games, so he's giving Kane the rest that they bought him to give him. So I think that's good. Spurs, good form, as I said, see them in third in the Prem and second in their group. I think they're second in their group on goal difference since Real Madrid are leading, or I'm not too sure, but hey, in a group which includes Dortmund and the reigning champs Real Madrid, kindly applaud Spurs. Now let's go to Chelsea. Champions. Anyways, the champions brought in several quality players this summer, I have to say. Alvaro Morata, who was actually linked with Manchester United, ended up going to Chelsea while Lukaku went to Man United, so it was a total opposite of what persons thought would happen. As I said, they bought Bakayoko from Monaco, who was like the driving force in their midfield along with Fabinho and Silva, but Bakayoko was the engine, the box to box. They bought Antonio Rudiger from Roma, who has, I think, been pretty good for Roma, so I'm not sure why they let him go, but hey, let's see. And then one of the last swoops they made was for David Zappacosta, and he came from Torino. So they added some depth, but I think Conte was still disappointed, as he lost Matic and Diego Costa, with Costa being his own doing, of course. But they also missed out on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and to me, they dodged a bullet. I just don't rate Ox that much. And then they missed out on Ross Barkley from Everton as he was injured, and he said he preferred to get back to full fitness before he thinks about a transfer. That were the ins for Chelsea. So, how they fared. Chelsea hasn't been that bad so far, to tell the truth. It's been a bit stop-start. Granted that Eden Hazard was out at the start of the season, so I think it's understandable missing your best player. The new signings, however, let's start with Alvaro Morata. He has hit the ground running, as they say. Just like Lukaku, he has started like a house on fire. 6 goals in the league and 2 assists and another goal in the UCL. Has Chelsea looking like they do not miss Diego Costa at all. Bakayoko, who was injured at the start of the season, has come in and he looks mightily assured, showing his pace and power demonstrated for Monaco last season. I think there's more to come from him as well. Rudiger has been a mainstay in the defense so far and has looked pretty solid. No mistakes so far, so you have to judge him on his performances and not his name. And then in Zappacosta, he filled in for Dave. Yes, Azpilicueta. Everybody calls him Dave at Chelsea apparently. And he actually has scored as well, so he hasn't done too bad. So that's for Chelsea. Next, in the big six is Arsenal. Arsenal. Oh boy. So, anyways, the Gunners window actually started with a bang as they brought in Alexandre Lacazette. The transfer ban that Atletico had, it presented Arsenal with a chance and they snapped him up, which was a good signing, I think. Club record £46 million, and they got Sead Kolasinac from Schalke. The guy was in the team of the year in the Bundesliga, so you know he was good. It, however, turned into a farce, the transfer window for Arsenal, as the Alexis Sanchez transfer saga totally derailed the window. I mean, it was will he go, will he stay, will he go, will he stay. He ultimately stayed, but a desperate attempt by Arsenal to get Thomas Lemar to replace Sanchez failed, as Arsenal had accepted a £60 million bid from City at the last minute. So they couldn't get through the deal, hence City couldn't get through theirs. It was pretty much craziness. So that's how it is. Ox left, but like I said, I don't rate him that much. So we'll just have to see how they fared. So Arsenal had started their season horribly, actually. They got drubbed by Liverpool. Sorry. It's in my blood to call them Liverpool, but sorry. Yeah, they got drugged by Liverpool, and then they lost to Stoke as well. They have, however, righted the ship, as Sead Kolasinac has become a crowd favourite with his high-octane style. He doesn't get bullied, which is something the Arsenal fans have wanted for a while. And Lacazette has played pretty decent in the games he started. He scored 4 goals already, so I think the new signings are playing pretty well when given the chance by Wenger. He's made some questionable decisions, benching them for, I think that was the Liverpool match, which nobody understands, but hey, it's Arsene Wenger. They can only hope Alexis plays like a new signing and gives his all for his last season, or what seems to be his last season for the Gunners. Last but not least is Liverpool. So Liverpool had a very good window to me in terms of personnel, the persons they brought in. Without doubt, they added strength in depth to their squad with the signing of Salah from Roma. They signed Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain from the Gunners. I still think it's a waste of money. I don't rate Ox. He hasn't improved to me, but hey, maybe he will prove me wrong. Dominic Solanke from Chelsea was a pretty good pickup. Granted, it's a tribunal fee that they paid. And Andrew Robertson from Hull was a good move for a left back since they needed one. And I think that kid will improve. You can also throw in Navigator, the RB Leipzig midfielder that they got. He won't be able to be played till next year, but it's a good thing they got him from now because I think his stock will just increase. So they, however, I should just point this out. They have, however, not addressed their main problem from last season, which was to add a top class slash world class defender. They showed from last season that attacking wise they could be up there with anybody in the league, but it was the leaking of goals which was their problem, and it still has not been addressed. So they had a pretty good window, but I wouldn't say it was excellent. Okay, so how have they fared? Liverpool have had a topsy-turvy start to the season, to say the least. I mean, a 4-0 battering of Arsenal was then followed by a 5-0 loss to Man City, however. Albeit they were down to 10 men, and you can understand that playing City with 10 men is hard. Playing them with 11 is hard already. So to think about playing them with 10 is even worse. They've had a mixed bag of results even after that, with drawing matches where they've thrown away leads. So you can see that they're not really firing on all cylinders. But I'm seeing I do see them getting better as the season progresses. Their new signings, as is what we're talking about, for the most part, they've hit the ground running. Salah is their top scorer with 4 goals in the league so far. Robertson has looked solid at left back, and Solanke has looked good when called upon. The Ox, however, has been poor, to say the least. He may prove me wrong, but it's still left to be seen. And with that being said, that's all the top 6 covered. Special shout out to Burnley for being in 6th place. So that has been a quick synopsis of the Big 6 signings so far and how they've done 7 games into the season. Ranking this window for them, I would say Man United and City tied for 1st, Chelsea and Spurs tied for 3rd, Liverpool 5th and Arsenal 6th as who had the better window. So that's why I think it's the best way to rank them. That being said, thanks for tuning in, guys. It was a pleasure sharing some football tidbits with you. I will be dropping more vids. I'll try to do it more consistently. Sorry about that. I want to do a preview vid before the matches this weekend, and also I want to drop a vid on the race for the Golden Boot, the top scorers. So it seems like it will be pretty interesting with guys like Sergio Aguero, Lukaku, and Morata, with the usual spec Harry Kane firing on all cylinders. So I think that race will be pretty interesting. So thanks again, guys. Please remember to leave your comments if you want me to do anything else. Thanks. Bye. Peace.